Happy Thursday, everyone. Hope everyone is doing well. What does mega really mean? What does it mean to you guys? I want to ask that question to everyone that's coming here, joining me live. What does mega really mean to you? Now, what mega means to me, I'm an American first. That's first of all. I'm American first. I voted for Trump. I'm not going to be ashamed or embarrassed about that because it was Trump or Kamala. And obviously, I didn't want Kamala to be the first woman president because she would have just made our country even worse, as Joe Biden did. But at the same token, Joe Biden didn't really run the country, to be honest with you, because his health was mentally declined. Someone else did it for him on his behalf. So he was not really calling the shots or controlling our nation, to be honest with you. It was someone else. But a lot of people, they're all for MAGA, excuse me. And I have to say, I was just all for closing the borders, having affordable health care be lower, affordable homes. Our economy would be, a little bit better because, under Joe Biden administration, it wasn't. They had open borders, illegal migrants just coming in left and right. Crimes were high. And now I notice the difference, now that Trump is in office, crimes are a little bit low. The borders are closed. And, things, I give him some credit for certain things that he has promised, things that he was promised that he was going to do, and he did deliver some of his promise. However, he was very, very straightforward and transparent of the Epstein files. There's going to be some transparency, like I keep saying, and how there's going to be some law and orders, and anyone that was responsible in the involvement of Jeffrey Epstein, and involvement of the sex trafficking operation, that they would be held accountable. And I did believe him because, he was a man of his word. And I just feel like when you say something to people, and especially the whole nation, your word is everything. You can't just flip-flop and say you're going to do this and you're going to do that, and then you turn around and you've done half the things that you said you were going to do, and then you just say, well, what Epstein files? Epstein who? The man is dead. We're still talking about him. And then when he said that, that really turned me off the wrong way. I'm like, you're the one that advocated for this during your campaign. You're the one that kept pushing that there should be some transparency. Under Bush, under Joe Biden, none of them said anything. None of them even vocalized that they was going to release the Epstein file, except for you, President Trump. You're the one who, let me just fix my camera. That's better. You're the one that said that you was going to release the files. You're the one that said there was going to be transparency. You're the one that said there's going to be, what's the word? That the survivors will basically get what they want. Transparency, and people are going to be held accountable. You're the one that said it in your own words, and the people that were backing you up too. You said it. So therefore, if you say all these things to the American people, you have to honor your word and keep your word. You can't just say that. You can't just do all the things that you promised that you were going to do, which you did, and then you try to distract us for other things. That's just not cool. You know what I mean? Just like you had Dan Bongiorno, the deputy of the FBI director. He was supposed to be transparent and was going to release the files or get to the bottom of the people that were involved in this. And he didn't do anything. And now he's back on his podcast. And now he's just more angry, more upset because people are coming hard on him because he basically didn't do his job when he was in Washington. When he was deputy of FBI, he didn't do his job, and now he's going hard on people. And I'm just paraphrasing here because I'm going to let you watch the video of what he said. That he's back, the Godfather is back, and he is going to make a movement, do a movement. And I'm like, a movement of what, my guy? Okay, you had the chance and the opportunity to do that when you were in DC. okay, when you were a deputy of the FBI director. You had the power. You had the power. Now you don't have the power because you can't do anything. What are you going to do? You're just going to talk on your podcast show? You can't really say or do anything because if you do, they're going to kill you. You can't really talk about the Epstein files. You can't really do anything. Instead, you're just so angry and you're attacking people because people are telling you that you don't matter, basically. Like, you don't matter. And I know a lot of people are excited that he's back, and a lot of people are excited to watch his show. And I don't have anything against Dan. The only problem I have is that he didn't do his job like he said he was. He swore an oath and he didn't do it. He didn't do it. He took the coward way out and he left, resigned, and now he's on his podcast and it's just basically just attacking people instead of like going on his show and take full responsibility and say, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I failed. I'm sorry that I didn't do my job in the best of my abilities to get to the bottom of the truth, which he knows the truth. He knows. He has seen the files or something. He knows. So he have seen or something spooked him to the point that he left, that he resigned. So he knew. And instead of attacking people from left and right or in his comments, okay, he should have just said, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I failed. I'm sorry that I didn't do my job. I'm sorry that I didn't do what I was supposed to do. Just apologize. Instead of attacking people left and right and saying that they're on a black pill and then you try to take the movement, it's like no one's not going to take you seriously on your podcast. Maybe some people will, but no one's not going to take you seriously what you say on your podcast because where was the energy when you were in DC? Because you had all that energy back in 2003, okay, 3 years ago, which I'm going to show you the video again. Because I just need to remind you guys how he had so much energy 3 years ago, back in 2023, and now he's saying Epstein killed himself. Epstein killed himself. Like, how do you know he killed himself? You going based on what people are telling you when you don't even have the facts or the evidence? Even though they said that there's evidence, but we know. We know, you guys. So that's the thing I don't like. There's no responsibility. He's not saying that he messed up. Instead, he's just attacking people left and right. It's just crazy. But take a listen to this video of him on his podcast saying that he's back and that people are on the black pill because people are just not on the MAGA team and stuff like that. And it shouldn't even be about MAGA. You know what I mean? It's about what's right, justice, seeking truth, seeking transparency, and holding people accountable for their actions and what they say and what they do. That's what I'm saying. But take a listen to Dan Bongiorno, what he had to say on his podcast.
Is back, and I'm here to take back this movement. This movement's been hijacked by a small group of dipshits and bums and losers who are nothing but doomers under the frame of accountability. I'm all about.
Pause. He's all about accountability, but where were you in DC? There was no accountability for you, my guy. Okay, and for you to attack these people because people are coming at you hard and asking questions, which we are entitled to ask questions like, you didn't do anything. You didn't do anything for the survivors. You did not arrest anyone. You did not, there's no warrant. There's nothing. You didn't do anything. And then now you have the audacity to go on your podcast show, okay, and then attack people left and right. Like people are going to take you half seriously, which they're not. The only way they're going to take you seriously, I'm just saying, you need to go to Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens, Joe Rogan, Jimmy Dore podcast, and let them ask you some tough questions if you're allowed to say it, unless you're not on an NDA, okay? Because on your show, no one's not going to take you halfway seriously. Apollo, shh. Sorry, I had to tell my dog, no, not today, because I'm live and I don't want to hear you bark. You hear me, buddy? Good boy. Continue on, Dan.
About accountability. I just showed you what we did or what we didn't. I'm not sitting here going, hey, trust me, bro. I showed you. If you like it, great. If you don't, that is absolutely your constitutional right You paid for it to go out and go, that sucked. I would have done something different. Okay, but you didn't. You didn't do anything different. The grifter bums, all you guys are a class of doomers. Everything sucks all the time. You would have done it different. You didn't do shit. You did nothing. You didn't volunteer.
Pause. What did you do, Dan? You did nothing either. You did shit. You did not do what you were supposed to do. Let me just put this pause right now, and I'm going to take you back 3 years ago, because he has the nerve to say that to people when his job as deputy director, FBI, his job was to arrest the people that were involved with the Epstein, okay? There's videos, you guys. There's videos and auto recording of these men who had sex with underage girls at the time. Now they're women now and mothers and wives. They have it. They know who they are. So for them to say they don't know and they don't want to make any arrests, that's just bullshit. They know who they are. Why they're not making an arrest? Oh, we need more evidence. The evidence is right there. They have the footage. Jeffrey Epstein recorded everything in his house, okay, from his mansion in Midtown or Manhattan or whatever to Paris to the pedophile island. He had cameras everywhere. And you trying to tell me, and those cameras, obviously we don't want to see the pornographic video, but they seen it. They seen the person's face, the men's face who had sex with underage girls at the time. And you trying to tell me you can't arrest them? This is bullshit. Why not do that? You have the power and you choose not to do it. He had the power to do that as deputy of FBI. And then you have the audacity to lecture people on your show when you didn't even do your job. You took the easy way out and you left. You bounced. You said, what I have discovered, what I have witnessed, I can't handle this. This is too much for me. This is not what I signed up for. But basically, that was what you signed up for. You put your hand in the Bible and you took an oath to protect and serve, and you chose not to. What you chose to do is be a coward and leave. And now you're on your podcast show to lecture people and to talk down to people instead of apologizing of your fuck up. Excuse my French. But let's put a pause to this and let's go back to 3 years ago.
It's a big deal. Please do not let that story go. Keep your eye on this. Catherine Rumler, we need to keep the heat on this case, folks. There are a lot of people who are knee deep in the Washington swamp who are not telling you the truth about serious allegations out there that Epstein may have had video and audio.
He did. He had audio and he has video, because when they went to his home in New York, raided his home, there was tons of containers of audio, video in that home. So there is audio, there is tape. They know who these perpetrators are. They know who these high elite men are, and they chose not to do anything. What they do is just release 3 million files, which I'm going to get to in a minute.
Of people out there doing things they shouldn't have been doing. And you should be asking yourself the question, how is it that all these people, the CIA director, the Obama fixer, Bill Clinton, all intersected paths with Jeffrey Epstein? Jeffrey Epstein isn't with us anymore, and nobody seems to want to talk about it. Outside of a few entrepreneurial media outlets saying, hey, this is a big deal.
So when it came to Obama, Bush, he was so passionate about it. Now, excuse me, now Trump is in office. They don't want to talk about it. Epstein is dead. There's no files. There's nothing. Isn't that crazy? So what are you trying to tell these people? What are you trying to tell us? So because Trump is in office now, he's the president, the 47th president of the United States, there's nothing there. You don't want to do your job. But when it came to Obama was president and Bush and Joe Biden, you guys, all of you, even Kash Patel, all of you went hard. All of you wanted transparency. And now it's the total opposite. How hypocrite are you? Bunch of hypocrites. It makes no sense. It makes no sense. And they're saying go mega, MAGA, whatever. You know what I mean? And that's what I'm saying. Is it a policy or a culture war? And I just feel like they're doing all this stuff, like trying to attack Iran and have these unnecessary wars to distract us. To distract us when we don't even need war. We don't need none of that. We don't. To distract us by them dumping 3 million files of Epstein files for us to forget about it. For us to say, okay, we did what we were supposed to do. We did our job. Is the end of it. And wrong. That's what they want us to do, but we should not buy it. We should keep putting pressure and putting fire so the perpetrators that were involved in this will be held accountable. Will they be? I don't think so. Because they keep saying no one's above the law, but that's a bunch of BS, and we all know it. The pedophiles. There's no law for them because they can do whatever they want, have sex with underage children, and they can get away with it. They get a free pass. They get asylum if anything happens to them. You know what I mean? So you can't tell the American people that no one's above the law when that's absolutely false. Because it seemed like these people who've been doing despicable, disgusting things, heinous things to children, they're getting away with it. There's no accountability. There's no arrest. There's nothing at all. So you can't tell people this anymore. No one's not buying it. No one's not listening to you. Okay, no one's not listening to you because it's just a bunch of word salad. But let's go back to Dan.
Ask, you didn't give up your show to do, you did nothing. All you did was bullshit people and say nothing's happening. And then when we tell you, oh, it just happened, you move on to something else.
That sounds like him. Just like Epstein is dead. He killed himself. Like nothing happened. So that sounds very familiar. It sounds like him basically. And I feel like he's talking about himself than whoever he was talking to. I think all of this applies to him basically.
Say it's not going to happen. And then when that happens, you move on to
something else. So, and he continues on with this. Take a listen.
Concern also about Epstein. Let me just say in advance, leadership involves frequently being misunderstood and having to make decisions that's going to piss someone off. That's just the way it is. This case had been handled poorly for a long time. And if you go and look at the search warrants, and matter of fact, almost all of it's public now, thanks to President Trump and the team getting it all out there. There's a shitty answer and a shittier answer. And disagreements in D.C. about how to handle level 10 problems. I love how people in the media acted like this was like new, as if the Biden team had done anything to get this stuff out.
Pause. You can't blame Biden. Biden is no longer in office anymore, my guy, okay? Biden is somewhere in Delaware sipping some pina colada. I don't know, okay? You're talking about Trump, okay? Your job as a formal FBI director, deputy, your job was to release and do your job, and you didn't do that. And for you the nerve of you to go on your podcast and say all these things when you didn't even do your job. You left, you quit. You took the easy route because when things got tough, when things got hard, you couldn't handle it. And now for you to lecture other people, other administrator, it's just incredible. It's just incredible that he can just say this with a straight face, you guys. He can actually say this with a straight face. It's just ridiculous.
Done shit. The person I thought at the time who nailed what the issues were with this was our good friend Mike Davis. There were a ton of problems with this. Anyone who rapes kids deserves the death penalty. Amen. Here's the problem with the Epstein mess. The FBI doesn't have the evidence many thought it did. I want to see the files, folks. I said, don't let it go. I meant it. We got elected.
Bullshit. You saw the files, you seen something, and you left. Because you had an issue with Pam Bondi, okay? And there was a heated discussion that you wanted to quit originally, and then you was nowhere to be seen. You didn't make a statement. You didn't say anything. Nothing of the sort. And now you're saying this. You have the files. You have the videos. You have the audio. Don't try to gaslight the public and lie to the public that you don't, telling them you don't have anything. You didn't see anything. You didn't hear anything. It's a bunch of baloney, and you know it. Stop lying. At least be honest and say, listen, I can't talk about it. I signed the NDA. There's something there, but I can't expose it. I just can't. I just don't have the higher clearance, the higher level or whatever to do that. And he knows it too, because if he exposed anything, his life may be in danger. So obviously he can't say the things that he wants to say. Excuse me. He can't say anything about it because his life will be in jeopardy. So that's why he left. But my thing is, he had full power while he was in DC, while he was a deputy director. He had some type of level of clearance to release the files or tell someone that he trusted what he had seen, what he has known something. He should have told someone. You know what I mean? And then again, I'm going back to this, that he has a nerve to say there was nothing there, as you can hear. And this is on his podcast. It's just crazy.
We looked at it. The file was not, what was in there was not what we thought would be in there. There are not tapes with powerful men raping kids. There is not a list. Epstein's.
You heard that? No tapes. No tapes. When there's evidence that there is tapes of men having sex with underage children at the time. And names, okay? And for him to lie like that, it's just unbelievable. Unbelievable. That's when no one's not taking him seriously. No one's not taking him seriously.
Rolodex was already public. The file's largely unreleasable for many reasons, including grand jury material, court records under seal, child pornography that was downloaded from the internet. It is a deadly serious case. There is zero doubt about it. Everyone in the administration treated it as such. But it was not, it was a level 10 problem. I can prove it to you. No one else had solved it in the past. Those are just the facts.
I don't even know what to say. I don't even know what to make of it. It's just a bunch of BS, and no one should take this man's word seriously. Now I'm going to pull up a chart for you guys and show you, while Dan Bongiovi was in DC, and while he was the deputy of director of the FBI, this is a chart that he done nothing. Nothing. You don't have to take my word for it. I'm going to show you this chart to take a look. Okay, so Biden auto pen, 2020 election, Epstein pedophile arrest, 0, COVID. I'll make this bigger for you guys to see. Give me 1 second. Let me see if I can make this bigger. How can I just make this bigger? I'm trying to figure out so you can see this, guys, on the bottom. Give me 1 second. Hopefully I can make this bigger. Okay, I think I got it. Dodge findings, and the last, I can just tell you right now really quickly, because I just don't know. I don't want to mess around with the screen because I can't figure it out on the bottom, and I just don't want to not pretend, but just to guess. Ukraine, on the bottom says Ukraine impeachment hoax. So all of this is 0, and nothing, he have not done anything. He has done nothing. And now he's on his show talking a lot of trash, a lot of smack for no apparent reason. It's just ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. And I wish him the best of luck. I really do. Again, I have nothing against Dan Bongiovi. However, I'm just going to tell you he failed. He completely failed. He completely dropped the ball. He did not do his job at all. And for him to have the audacity to go on his show and just ripped everyone a new one and attacking people left and right, you look really ridiculous. You really do. And I'm sorry to say, on my behalf, I can't speak for everyone else, you look very foolish, and no one's not going to take you halfway seriously, because now you're going so hard now because of your fuck up. Excuse my French. Yeah, you're going hard now because you know you messed up. You really did. You really, really messed up, and you really, really dropped the ball. And I don't think half of the people in the world is going to really take you seriously unless you go to these really, really podcasters, like Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens, Jimmy Dore, Joe Rogan. You know what I mean? So they can ask you the tough questions if you can answer them, if you did not sign an NDA. But for me, for right now, I'm definitely not going to watch his show on his podcast. And I'm not going to take him seriously because nothing that he can say or do to make me believe him now. Because why would we believe you now when you didn't even do anything when you were in DC? Make it make sense. And that's all I'm going to say about Dan Bajoni. Rest in peace, my brother. And good luck on your podcast. Now, moving on to the next segment of Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche. Okay, this guy, he's funny. Okay, and the reason why I say he's funny because he was on Lauren Engel on Fox News, and the comment that he said, and I'm paraphrasing here about the DOJ releasing releasing more Epstein files. I just love the comment that he said, and this is why I don't know why people go so hard on MAGA, and that's why I'm like, and I keep asking the question, what does that really mean? What does MAGA really mean? What does that mean to you? And I would love for you to drop it on a comment and let me know, what does that really mean to you? Because I know a lot of people are for Trump and they're supporting Trump, what Trump is doing. And you can support somebody and still criticize what they're doing. You know what I mean? You can do that. You know what I mean? It's like loving someone and you can still criticize or be disappointed at someone. It's the same thing. And for me, I'm very disappointed at President Trump. And because even though he's doing closing the borders and stuff like that, things are still expensive. You know what I mean? Can anyone afford homes now these days? You know what I mean? He needs to crack down on that. Healthcare, affordable healthcare, it just keep rising up. You know, that's something that he needs to work on as well. Also, you know, Jeffrey Epstein. You know what I mean? Yes, they dumped 3 million files, but what does that mean? Honestly, what does that mean really? And that's something that we need to know. That's something that we need to ask ourselves. What does that really mean? And when Lauren asked Todd that question about the Epstein files, if it's it, that's it. And he said, well, because you see people's names on the email doesn't mean they were associated with the whole sex trafficking with Epstein. And I'm like, okay, then why dump the files then? If that's true, then why not arrest the people that you know who was involved? Why even dump the names? It doesn't make any sense what he said, but take a listen to what he said to Lauren.
Is there any chance that any of these individuals who partied with Epstein and engaged in relations with minors will be prosecuted?
Well,
Any
look,
chance?
I'll never say no, and we will always investigate any evidence of misconduct. But as you know, it is not a crime to party with Mr. Epstein, and so as horrible as it's not a crime to email with Mr. Epstein.
Correct. So if it's not a crime, which he is absolutely 100% correct, it's not a crime to email someone or party with someone, but why dump all the emails then? Like, you're wasting time here. They know who these men are. Why not arrest them? You have the evidence. I don't get it. You have the evidence. You have the audio. What are you waiting for? That's the question I'm asking. What are they waiting for? I'm going to tell you, they're not going to do anything. They know who they are. They know who the men are, and they're not doing anything. And they have no plan to make any arrests to hold these men accountable for sexually abusing these young age children at the time. They have no plan of doing that. So, like he said, it's not a crime to email Jeffrey Epstein, which he is correct. It's not a crime, but why dump it then? If you know the names, okay, just arrest the people that were involved in this. Why you still continue to let them have a free pass? Why you still continue for them to be out there in the street doing God knows what? You're giving them a free pass, and you've been doing that for decades. It's like, when is this going to end? Like, when?
And some of these men may have done horrible things, and if we have evidence that allows us to prosecute them, you better believe we will. But it's also the kind of thing that the American people need to understand, that it isn't a crime to party with Mr. Epstein. It isn't a crime to have
Didn't look
lunch on
like
his
that's all
island.
that was going on some of those photos. I mean, if the photos could speak, some of them look pretty bad.
That's right. And unfortunately, photos can't speak. And so,
And again, who gives a shit about the photos? Again, my question is to you guys: what's the whole purpose of releasing photos? What's the whole purpose? If they're not going to make any arrests, and you dumping emails, then what's the point then? The whole point of the Transparency Act is to arrest the people that were involved, arrest the men that had inappropriate sex with underage girls. That's the whole purpose of that. Transparency in arresting them. So the survivors can have justice. And I feel like there's no justice. I just feel like there's just games. They're just playing games. They're stalling. I don't know why they're stalling, because they've been stalling for decades. They're playing games. And it's just ridiculous. You're insulting these survivors' intelligence, man. You're insulting the public too. You're playing games and releasing all this stuff, but you're not making any arrests. Make it make sense. It doesn't make any sense. It's a bunch of rubbish.
we need witnesses and we need
Are there
evidence.
Witnesses. You see, she asked.
Videotapes that you all have? Or?
Oh, okay. There's videos. Clearly, there's videos. They have the videos. It's been sitting in some freaking storage forever. They have the proof. They have videos. They have audio. What's mind-boggling to me is why they're not acting now. Why they're not doing anything about it. You had all the time in the world to review the footage, to see the faces of the perpetrators that were having sex with underage girls. Now, let's be clear here. The public do not want to see the pornographic video. We don't want to see that. We want to know the names of the men that were in the video and arrest them. That's what we want. Okay? By you dumping this files, you think anyone has time to go through the files and talk about it on YouTube? Get serious here. We don't have time for that. We want to know what is your process. Now that you know, which they do know, the men who's been doing this, what are you going to do? That's my question. What are you going to do? Are you going to arrest them? Or are you going to tell the American people, listen, we're not going to do anything. We're not going to do anything. We're not going to arrest them. We're not going to do anything. This is what we got. This is what we're dumping. And this is what we're sharing. That is at the end of it. At least be honest. At least be honest to the American people. Don't string us along and say, this is it. This is what we have. And that's it. And we should accept it. Well, I'm telling you, I reject that. And I'm not accepting it. And neither should you guys. You guys should not accept this at all. Because this is a bunch of BS. And it's ridiculous. They keep saying no one's above the law. But except for the pedophiles. That's basically what they're saying. No one's above the law except for the pedophiles. So pedophiles, these men, they can abuse children. They can molest them, sodomize them. They can do all that stuff, and it's okay because they can get away with it because they get a free pass because they don't have to obey the law. The laws are not for them. The laws are for us, the middle class. So if we break a law, if we do something criminal, fraudulent, we have to take the responsibility and be held accountable. But the men, the elites, the Wall Street men, the white collar, the politician men, prime minister, politician, they're exempt of the rule. So they can commit crimes, they can commit fraudulent, they can do whatever, but they get a pass. So the law, they're above the law. So basically, they can do whatever they want. They can commit crimes and do whatever, and they get a free pass, and they can just. That's it. Nothing to see, nothing to hear, and that's the thing that I laugh about. They think that we're so dumb, and things that we don't see, things that we see, and they try to convince us that didn't really happen. Oh, what you saw is not really what you see. What you're reading or what the evidence that you have with it, it's not real. It's AI, it's fake. And I'm like, no. You trying to convince me or you trying to convince yourself? And they go so hard to convince the public that what you're hearing and what you're seeing is not really true. Like basically, they're trying to brainwash you. Basically, it's like AK Ultra. They're trying to brainwash you to convince you that it didn't really happen, to make you go crazy. To make you go crazy. It's just crazy. It's crazy. But take a listen to Todd Blanche on his press conference in D.C. about the Epstein files, and this may be the last files that's going to be released. So take a listen to his comment, what he has to say, which is very, very disturbing. But take a listen.
The Epstein, of your review of the Epstein files. So just to clarify, is the public going to learn the identities of the men who abused the girls with the information that you're releasing? And if not, why not? And then I have a quick follow-up.
I mean, you just baked in an assumption into your question that I have never said and I don't know to be true. Is the public going to learn about men that abuse these girls? Like, what does that mean?
Pause. What the F? Listen, I'm not in the politician world, but I have some common sense. I'm going to rewind about what is it? I'm just lost for words. He doesn't understand the question. He doesn't understand what the reporter is asking him. Let's rewind it again, Todd, so you can understand clearly what the reporter is asking you. Let's start all over, you guys.
You said this is the end of the Epstein, of your review of the Epstein files. So just to clarify, is the public going to learn the identities of the men who abused the girls with the information that you're releasing? And if not, why not? And then I have a quick follow-up.
I mean, you just baked in an assumption into your question that I have never said and I don't know to be true. Is the public going to learn about men that abuse these girls? Like, what does that mean? I mean, I don't understand what that means.
You don't understand what that means? Well, I'm going to break it down to you, and it's just common sense. Basically, what the reporter is asking you, Todd, okay, will you release the names that these men abuse these girls? Are you going to do that? That's the question he's asking you. Like, is he dumb? Like, I don't get it. It's not a hard question.
Well, I mean, they're the men who abused the young women through Epstein's.
Look, we said in July, and it remains as true today as it was in July. If we had information, we meaning the Department of Justice, about men who abused women, we would prosecute them.
Excuse me, getting rid of this minor cold. He's lying. They do have it. They do have proof. They do have evidence. The video, the audio. What is he talking about? Why is he saying that with a straight face, like he has no idea what the reporter is talking about? They have it, but they chose not to prosecute these men. At least be honest, but don't just lie like that when they actually been sitting on this proof for years. They know who they are. He knows who the perpetrators are. You trying to tell me he did not watch the videos? He did not review it? Get serious here. Get serious. Makes no sense. No sense.
Right? We talked about the work that we're doing. That's why I said that. I said this earlier. There's this built-in assumption that somehow there's this hidden tranche of information of men that we know about that we're covering up.
Absolutely. You are covering up. You know these men, and you choose to cover it up to protect them, or they're being protected by other countries. Okay? He knows who they are. So for him to say that with a straight face is disgusting. It's disgusting. You definitely are covering it up. You know who these men are, and you and President Trump and the whole administrative team, you choose not to do anything. You choose to look the other way and not say. We dumped the 3 million files. That's it. The end of it. The end of it. Where's the transparency? That's what I'm saying. Where's the transparency? And you call this Transparency Act? It's utterly disgusting. And I'm disgusted by this. And you guys should too. It's just awful and ridiculous.
or that we're choosing not to prosecute, that is not the case. I don't know whether there are men out there that abuse these women. If we learn about information and evidence that allows us to prosecute them, you better believe we will. But I don't think that the public or you all are going to uncover men within the Epstein file.
So let me just ask you a question, you guys. So basically, these women just raped themselves. These you trying to tell me and the whole world that Epstein is the only man that raped all these women, these young women, these kids, excuse me, these young children at the time. You trying to tell me he's the only one, the only man that sex trafficked them, that has inappropriate sex with them? He's the only one. So there's no men out there, basically. That's basically what he's saying. It's like telling this. He's like telling the survivors, "Fuck you, fuck you." That's basically what he's telling the survivors. F you. Like everything that you said in front of your attorneys, in front of everyone, your story, whatever, it really didn't happen. He's basically saying it in layman's terms. Like you wasn't raped, you wasn't sexually abused, you wasn't sex trafficking. It was all Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, those two. And one that's serving 20 years to life. And one is dead, allegedly, I'm going to say. Okay? So it makes no sense. It's utterly disgusting. It's shameful. And he should be ashamed of himself. This a lie like that with a straight face. It's just unbelievable how people can just lie like that in front of the camera with a straight face and they actually believe their own lies. It's just wild to me. Absolutely wild. I don't know how anybody can sleep at night. That's why I could never work in politician or be in DC because it's so corrupt. It's so dirty. It's just absolutely disgusting.
That abuse women, unfortunately.
Unfortunately. He disgusts me. He disgusts me and it's a shame. It's absolutely shame. Now, I just wanted you to check out this video of Ben Shapiro. Now, obviously, he's an idiot. For him to say, there's no files, there's nothing there, there's no list of names, when obviously this week they've been dumping files and names of people and pictures. And, Ben Shapiro, he has his source from the inside, and his source told him there's nothing there. Well, your source was wrong because apparently the DOJ is dumping files left and right. So what do you say now? What do you say now? He just sounds a complete idiot when he said that. Take a listen to what he had to say. No Epstein files. Okay.
There are none, apparently. Now, again, a lot of people were shocked by this. I'm less shocked by this than some. The reason being, whenever there's this level of speculation without any sort of supporting evidence, it's not a shock to me when all that sort of falls apart. What does this demonstrate? Well, it demonstrates that once a conspiracy theory gets going, it becomes utterly unfalsifiable. Utterly unfalsifiable. And no matter how much evidence is provided, and even if the people you trust are put in charge, it's still even more unfalsifiable. So listen, it's justifiable for people like J.D. Vance, who was the vice presidential candidate at the time before the election, to call for the release of an Epstein list because, frankly, people thought there was an Epstein list. However, the evidence suggested there really was not an Epstein list if you were watching this case with any sort of eagle eye. The problem is that when you feed this, at a certain point, it's going to blow back on you when it turns out that you open Al Capone's vault, like Geraldo Rivera, and there's nothing there, which is actually what seems to have happened right here. If your expectations of a gigantic conspiracy don't come true and you have no counter evidence, none except for your speculation, I'm sorry, but that's on you.
He sounds like an idiot. I can't listen to his voice. I'm sorry, you guys. His voice is so annoying that, how like you put your nails on a chalkboard and it starts to squeak. That's what his voice sounds like. And I can't listen to this because it's just ridiculous. And he sounds ridiculous and he sounds stupid, in my opinion. But he's more educated than me. So the only thing I can say, there is files, okay, and there's names, lists of names of people that were involved in the sex trafficking ring, Ben Shapiro. I'm sorry to disappoint you. I'm sorry that your source told you the wrong information, but that's a lie. And the DOJ, they're covering it up because they know who are the men. Excuse me. Let me speak proper English. They know who the men are. They know. And they choose not to prosecute. They choose not to do anything. Basically, they're just dumping the files and say, here you go, public. Here you go, people. And that is it. And let's be done with this. Let's just put this to rest. Which I'm telling you guys, we should not put this to rest. We should go more harder on this to get to the bottom of the truth. And if there's going to be any arrest made, which in my opinion, there should be arrests made, but I'm going to be quite honest with you, I don't think there are. I don't think they're going to arrest anyone, to be honest with you. They're going to let these men who had sex with underage girls, think about that, underage girls, sex trafficking them. And there's audio, there's recording, and they're going to let these men get away with it, basically. You're going to let these men get away with it. And my thing is, I don't understand is, how can you prosecute other men, middle-class men, criminals, who do these things to young children, and you arrest them and you prosecute them, but you won't do it to the high elite? And at the end of the day, it's power, money, control, and knowing people. That's what it is. Because a guy named Joe or Henry or Harry, they're nobody. They don't have any money. They don't have any connections. So you can just lock them up and put them away. Opposed to these high elites, they're not going to do that. They're going to protect their own. And that's what it is. And that's the world that we're living in. So I don't understand how you expect a lot of people to respect the law and to obey the law when you're not even applying it to these despicable rich people. They're all the same. The only difference is they have money. So I don't understand. You should treat them the same like you treat any other criminals out there. I don't care who they are. I don't care how much money they have. I don't care how much people that they know or connections. They committed a crime. If you committed a crime, you got to do the time. I don't care who you are. You're no one special. You shouldn't be above the law because of your status, because of who you are and who you know and the connections. But I guess because when you have money, lots of money, you get a free pass. It doesn't matter how many times you do it, you still get a free pass. And that, in my opinion, it's just not right. And that's the world that we're living in, unfortunately. And it's just sad. It's sad and despicable. And President Trump should be ashamed of himself for allowing this, for allowing people to speak in his ears, for allowing this to happen, not making any arrests, not prosecuting these people. I'm ashamed. And he should be too, because he is a father, he's a grandfather, you know what I mean? I just don't understand how all of them can sleep at night. I don't understand how they can think that this is okay, that this is allowable in our country, in the United States. But we're doing great things, you guys. You know, we're doing other great things, because we're doing all these great things, starting a war with Iran and, closing borders, which that's great. We're doing all these amazing things. So why are you worrying about the Epstein files? Why are you worrying about it? The man is dead. Why are you worrying about it? These survivors, they raped themselves. Epstein is the only one. Ghislaine Maxwell is the only one. There's nothing there. There's no other men out there. The emails, it's not a crime to email someone. It's not a crime to be associated with a pedophile, which is not. But like they keep telling us, there's nothing there. There's nothing there. So it's just crazy. And they think that we're stupid and dumb, and we're not. Now, I want to share this video with you with Marjorie Taylor Greene, how she is talking about how Donald Trump let her go and how she was not happy with the whole Trump administration, the things that they were doing, their behavior, especially with the Epstein files. She was really, really what's the word? I'm trying to figure out the word, what to say. She was really focused on getting transparency for the survivors. You know what I mean? She was really hands-on with the survivors and wanted, justice for the survivors, rightfully so. And when she had that conversation with President Trump, I guess the conversation didn't go well, according to Marjorie Taylor Greene. So take a listen to what she had to say about that conversation with President Trump about the Epstein files.
Conversation that ended my relationship with Donald Trump, destroyed my political career, and proved that some secrets in Washington are more dangerous than others. This
Facts.
conversation happened in September 2025 after I promised Jeffrey Epstein's victims that I would help identify their abusers. And everyone in my congressional office heard every word of it. The call came the day after I held a press conference promising to work with Epstein survivors to reveal the names of people responsible for sexual abuse against women and girls. I had just finished a closed-door House oversight hearing where I listened to these women tell their stories. They were trembling. Their bodies were shaking as they described being raped at 14, at 16, by rich and powerful men who thought they could buy silence along with everything else. I told those women I would help them get justice. I told them their stories mattered more than protecting powerful people who had escaped accountability for too long. I told them that transparency and truth were more important than political comfort and connected relationships. That press conference triggered the phone call that ended everything. I was in my office when my staff told me the president was on the line. I put the call on speakerphone as I usually did for official conversations. What happened next was loud enough that everyone in my suite of offices could hear Donald Trump screaming at me about the Epstein files. He was extremely angry that I had signed the discharge petition to force release of the government files connected to Jeffrey Epstein's sex trafficking case. He was furious that I had promised to help identify people who had abused these women. And when I tried to explain why transparency...
Why would he be furious? If President Trump had no involvement, right, and he had nothing to do with the sex trafficking operation, why would he be upset? Why would he be upset with Marjorie? That don't make any sense. Why go hard on her and yelling and screaming that all she wants to do is help the survivors, the victims that suffered an ordeal when they were young? Some of them are still suffering. Okay, why would he act like that? That's the $1 million question. If you have no involvement and you discontinue your friendship with Epstein a long time ago, right? You kicked him out at your Mar-a-Lago country club or whatever, and you had no contact with him ever since. Why get upset? That's what I'm saying. Why get upset? That's the $1 million question. Why get upset if you had no involvement in that?
He mattered, he said something that I will never forget. My friends will get hurt. That's what the President of the United States...
Oh! Well, we got our answer. My friends will get hurt. So he cared about more of protecting his friends than the survivors. That's an interesting what's the word? Not recovery. Interesting information. So he rather, according to Marjorie, and I wasn't there. I was not in the room. Other of her staff was in the room. I'm coming, Apollo. It's dog. He's hungry. He's ready to eat. I'm coming. So what I was saying, it's distracting me. I get distracted very easily. So basically, he rather protect his friends than protect the survivors and getting justice for the survivors. Let her continue on.
Told me when I asked him to support victims of sexual trafficking, not this will compromise ongoing investigations, not this will damage national security, not this will interfere with justice. He said his friends would get hurt. I was so shocked by that response that I asked him to clarify what he meant. I told him about the women I had just met, how they had been raped as children, how they had spent decades waiting for someone in power to care about their suffering more than they cared about protecting their abusers. That's when he made it clear that he cared more about protecting his connections than supporting their victims. He attacked the women I was trying to help, saying they hadn't done anything to merit an invitation to the Oval Office. He said they didn't deserve the honor of meeting with the president. The women who were trafficked and abused as children didn't deserve the honor. But the people who trafficked and abused them deserved protection because they were his friends. That call lasted about 20 minutes. Everyone on my staff heard the President of the United States prioritize the comfort of Jeffrey Epstein's associates over the justice that Epstein's victims had been seeking for decades. They heard him explicitly state that protecting powerful men was more important than acknowledging the suffering of the women and girls those men had harmed. But what shocked me most wasn't just what he said, it was the tone in which he said it. He wasn't conflicted about this decision. He wasn't struggling with competing priorities. He was angry that I was creating problems for people he cared about by supporting people he didn't care about. The message was clear. Jeffrey Epstein's victims were expendable. Jeffrey Epstein's associates were not. After that call, I knew I could never trust Donald Trump's judgment about anything involving accountability for powerful people. I knew that when it came to choosing between justice and protecting connections, he would always choose connections. I knew that all the talk about draining the swamp was just talk when the swamp included his friends. But what really ended our relationship wasn't just that phone call. It was what happened afterward, when I realized that supporting sexual trafficking victims was somehow more controversial in Republican politics than protecting the people who had trafficked them. I started getting calls from other Republican members telling me to back off the Epstein files. I started getting pressure from party leadership to focus on other issues. I started getting lectured about the importance of party loyalty.
Pause. And that's what happened to Kash Patel. Someone put pressure on him. Dan Bonjoni, Pam, whatever her name is. You know, I can't even say her last name right now because I'm so pissed. People were putting pressure on all of them to tell them to back off, focus on other things, stop putting all your energy and your time on the Epstein files because there's nothing there. There's no video, there's no recording, there's nothing. And that's exactly what the same thing with Marjorie, okay? And this is our president, and I can't believe I'm saying this. I'm utterly disappointed that I don't regret voting for him. I just want to make that very clear because it was him or Kamala. I don't regret that, but I'm very disappointed and utterly disgusted that he rather protect his friends, the pedophiles, because he's a father himself and a grandfather, and he has daughters and grandchildren, that he rather protect them to get justice for the survivors. And to me, that's something that I don't sit well with. I really don't, because these were innocent children, and now they're grown women now, and some of them were women too that were being abused and sex trafficked by Epstein and his friends, his elite friends. But for him to do that, to protect these pedophiles, I have no respect for the man. I really don't. And I'm utterly disgusted and disappointed at President Trump. And he should be ashamed of himself. And, you know, he's going to reap what he sowed, because he made that decision not to prosecute these men, not to hold them accountable. There's not going to be arrests. Obviously, you heard what she said, Marjorie. Okay, he's going to protect his friends. So we got our answer. We got our answer. There's not going to be any arrest. There's not going to be any prosecution. They're just going to dump files after files and pictures after pictures, and that's it. And there you have it. There you have it. So we got our answer. So no one's not going to be arrested. And this is the legacy that he wants to leave once he's out of office. This is the legacy. This doesn't sit well with me.
And political timing and strategic considerations. No one called to ask about the women I had met. No one seemed concerned about the fact that powerful people had sexually abused children and escaped accountability. No one wanted to discuss whether the American people deserved to know which government officials had been compromised by their connections to Jeffrey Epstein. The only concern was protecting the Republican Party from embarrassment and protecting connected people from exposure. That's when I understood that the Epstein files represented everything wrong with Washington. Rich, powerful elites doing horrible things and getting away with it, while the women who suffered were treated like the problem for asking for justice. I couldn't be part of that system anymore. I couldn't pretend that party loyalty was more important than supporting victims of sexual trafficking. I couldn't stay quiet about what I had witnessed just to preserve.
Good for her. And that's why she left. And that's why Donald Trump was attacking her left and right, and having, not him, but people are threatening her and going to her home and stuff like that, because she was telling the truth. Now, if she was lying and not telling the truth, they would have attacked her. President Trump wouldn't go so hard and attacked her and saying that she's a traitor, this and that. You are a traitor. For you to have the nerve to call Marjorie Taylor Greene a traitor, you're a traitor because you turn your back on the survivors and the victims. You rather protect the pedophiles to seek justice. So I'm sorry, you can't say that because you're a hypocrite. You're a traitor, President Trump. I'm sorry to say that. I'm going to say that to you because I voted for you and I have that right to say that. You're the traitor and you're the one that failed these survivors. You did. And it's basically a slap on the face for all of them. But before I let you go, guys, I just, obviously yesterday I went live very quickly and reported an update of Savannah Guthrie and her mother. You know, obviously her mother is still missing. Her mother had been missing since Saturday. And she was taken against her will in the middle of the night at 2 a.m. They don't have any prime suspect, nothing of the source. They're interviewing the daughter, Annie, and her husband, Thomas, I believe. And it's just still a mystery. But Savannah and her sister and her brother made a statement last night. So take a listen to this heartwarming statement.
On behalf of our family, we want to thank all of you for the prayers for our beloved mom, Nancy. We feel them, and we continue to believe that she feels them too. Our mom is a kind, faithful, loyal, fiercely loving woman of goodness and light. She's funny, spunky, and clever. She has grandchildren that adore her and crowd around her and cover her with kisses. She loves fun and adventure. She is a devoted friend. She is full of kindness and knowledge. Talk to her and you'll see.
The light is missing from our lives. Nancy is our mother. We are her children. She is our beacon. She holds fast to joy in all of life's circumstances. She chooses joy day after day. Despite having already passed through great trials of pain and grief, we are always going to be merely human, just normal human people who need our mom. Mama, if you're listening, we need you to come home. We miss you.
Our mom is our heart and our home. She is 84 years old. Her health, her heart is fragile. She lives in constant pain. She is without any medicine. She needs it to survive. She needs it not to suffer. We too have heard the reports about a ransom letter in the media. As a family, we are doing everything that we can. We are ready to talk. However, we live in a world where voices and images are easily manipulated.
That's true.
We need to know, without a doubt, that she is alive.
Yes.
And that you have her. We want to hear from you, and we are ready to listen. Please reach out to us. Mommy, if you are hearing this, you are a strong woman. You are God's precious daughter, Nancy.
Amen.
We believe and know that even in this valley, He is with you. Everyone is looking for you, Mommy, everywhere. We will not rest. Your children will not rest until we are together again. We speak to you every moment, and we pray without ceasing, and we rejoice in advance for the day that we hold you in our arms again. We love you, Mom.
Love you, Mom.
We love you, Mom. Stay strong.
We love you, Mom. We love
That's sad. This is a very, very sad situation, and my heart goes out to all of them. And I'm continuing to pray. You guys should continue to pray that Nancy will come home safe and sound. And like I said last night when I was live, I stand what I said. I believe it was an inside job. I believe that someone knew about her medication because, according to the authorities, she has a pacemaker, okay? And her pacemaker gets charged through her Apple phone. Then it stopped charging at 2 a.m. So that's what I believe that's when she was taken against her will. Now, no, how can I say this without, not like I'm damaging the case, but the reason why I believe a family member, they knew her health situation. They knew. They left that behind, right? But this could have been easily pre-planned. Again, it could be another family member trying to do this ransom because they know that Savannah, she is a high-profile woman. She has lots of money, so they could have easily planned this ahead. Okay, leaving the medication, her car, her wallet, and probably had like medication in advance because of her health situation. The back door was open, blood was there, and they did DNA, and it has been confirmed that is Nancy's blood. The dash ring camera was taken down, broken. So obviously the perpetrators knew where the camera was. Okay, the last person to see Nancy was the daughter Annie and her husband. Okay, which they were being questioned, which they seized her car to make sure there's any type of blood or evidence. The dog, the FBI and the law enforcement went back to the house yesterday with the dog, searching in the woods or whatever to see if they have any type of evidence of the sort. I just can't fathom some random person would just kidnap, abduct an 84-year-old woman just like that. That's just crazy to me. Okay, it's just crazy. She's 84 years old. Okay, she was told that she was sharp as a horse. However, her health is not the greatest. She has to take medication for her heart. She has to take medication for other things, and if she don't, she will not survive. I still believe that she's still alive. I still believe that we may get more information, like I said last night, and I hope they do. They have no suspect yet. They're still figuring out what the hell happened, what's going on. But I believe it's one of the family members. It's always a family member. It's always a family member. The question is why, and will they bring Nancy home? She's 84. So if you know anything, if you have any information of Tucson, Arizona, please report it to the authorities. Anything. It can be small, it can be big, it doesn't matter. Any information will help. We need to bring Nancy home. We need to pray for Nancy to come home peace, with no bodily injury or anything like that. She's 84. I can't even imagine what Savannah and her brother and her sister are going through. I can't even imagine someone took my parents. I'd be beside myself, but it's not even about me. It's about the family, the Goffrey family. And I just pray that the authorities will get more information. Obviously, they're not telling us everything because they don't want to leak everything out, whoever took her. But to me, it makes more sense that it was an inside job. She weighed 150 pounds. She was 5'5". You know what I mean? A lot of people say it's only one person. I believe it's two people were involved in this. Two people took her. But, we don't know. I definitely will keep you more updated. But we need to continue to pray that Nancy will come home safely. And whoever took her, just let her go. She's 84. She's 84, you guys. Just let her go, whoever took her. If you want the money, just do your ransom. You already demanded $1 million in Bitcoin. Just ask for your demands. Reach out and take the money and just let this poor woman go. Let her return back to her family, the people that love her. She's 84. It's just despicable and disgusting that someone can just go into someone's home in the middle of the night, 2 a.m., and just abduct her. Helpless, defenseless. It's just crazy. Having this family go through this, you know? And I'm glad that everyone is working around the clock to help the family. So that's all I have to say, you guys. Thank you so much for joining me live and having this discussion about MAGA. I'm not for MAGA. I never was, to be honest with you. I'm an American, you know, and I just want, you know, justice and transparency. I want our borders to be closed, which they are. I want affordable health care. I want to purchase a home one day and not rent for the rest of my life. I just want things to be the way it used to be before shit hit the fan, when things were just like bad under Joe Biden. So, and again, I don't think we're ever going to get justice for the survivors for what happened to them with Epstein. If they can do that, good Lord, what they can do with the Charlie Kirk investigation. If they can do that and cover that up, sure enough, they're doing exactly the same thing with Charlie Kirk, and that's sad. And there's not going to, and after hearing what Marjorie Taylor Greene said, what Donald Trump told her, that he is protecting his friends, that makes me believe that President Trump is doing the same thing with the Charlie Kirk thing. There won't be no prosecution. There won't be none. The real perpetrators that really killed Charlie Kirk, there won't be no justice for that. At least, you know, I hope and pray that Candace Owens release some names and expose the people that were involved in this, who had common knowledge of this, even though there's not going to be any arrests. I guarantee you that, because Trump is going to protect his people. He's going to protect his friends, because that's more important than justice. It's just crazy. But anyway, you guys, that's all I have to say about that. Thank you so much for joining me here on live. I really appreciate each and one of you. I love you all. And I just thank you for your love and your support. And you just coming on live and commenting, even though you're not here that long. And you just listening and you just watching. I really appreciate it. It just means so much to me that, you know, even one person takes the time to listen. I know there's so many other podcasters out there that's much better than me, and I'm getting there and I'm learning. But I just really appreciate that some of you just take the time just to join me live and to engage in a conversation with me. And it means the world to me. Whether there's 1, 2, or 0, it still means a world to me. I still love you all, and I love your support. So thank you. Continue to support my channel. Continue to join. Continue to subscribe. I really, really, really love you all. So take care. God bless. And I will see you guys on the next one.